the things that we want to just ensure that we ask the government for whatever government, whatever administration, we need a new prison. This is not the time for talk anymore. We need a new maximum security prison.
Tell me about the structure of the facility. Paint a picture for me. What are prisoners and the correctional officers dealing with in terms of the structure that has been there since 1901?
All right, these prisons, Tower Street and St. Catherine, was built in the 16th and 17th centuries. These prisons are built with bricks. Therefore, what we have is very good facility, but good for that time, not for now. These bricks are falling apart. These prisons cannot be repaired anymore. And we realize that every single day we have issues, we have places in these prisons where no officer can work, no inmate can be located because things are falling down. We have a simple earthquake, we have a magnitude earthquake which just gone in a couple of days. And we are saying one of the first things that we thought about is what is happening in the prisons, because there are areas in those institutions that has been falling. It doesn't need an earthquake. And we can tell you what we have, it's every single day these institutions are falling apart. They cannot be repaired anymore, but there is no serious move by the Ministry of National Security / the government to build any correctional institution. It is only talk and there is nothing happening. I have many documents of persons from the Honorable Colonel Spencer, the then Security Minister who was the Honorable K.D. Knight, Mr. Montague, Peter Ponting here, who is indicating clearly that we can't go any further with these prisons, and they are coming from 3 billion to 8 billion to now we are hearing about 31 billion and counting, with no serious move to build any prisons. So we really don't have the serious input from the government to build any correctional facility. And I think these facilities will have to fall right down before they are serious about building a facility. We have to treat with these issues because the fact of the matter is persons come to prison every day, literally. We have to understand what is happening. The prisoners of today are not the prisoners of 20 years ago. We can confine the body, we cannot confine the minds. Persons are thinking, persons are looking, what can I do? How can we do this? So our job as correctional officer is very hard, but we have to contend with what we have existing, not compromising security, because that is our major focus, just to ensure that the persons in our care are cared for and remain where they are.
With these structures though, how likely is it for a prison bus escape, given that the structures are not secure?
Well,
are there concerns about that?
I wouldn't say that the structures are not secure as it relates to escapes, because the fact is we focus clearly on ensuring that these persons remain where they are. However, the institution that exists now, they cannot be repaired anymore. We are doing a very good job and we commend our officers every single day of the job that they are doing. Because if they are not carrying out their function, they would have a massive escape or massive escapes. I would have recalled the tunnel that was found at Tower Street some time ago. It's the vigilance of the officers who would have realized that something is happening. So prisoners are thinking. So we have to be very vigilant every single day. And our officers must be commended because we ensure that these institutions are secure. However, the infrastructure needs attention. It cannot continue for very long.
What's the ratio we're talking about in terms of correctional officers to prisoners? We often hear that the prison facilities are overcrowded, woefully overcrowded.
I will be guarded in terms of the ratio that I indicate now. And this is for specific reasons in terms of security. But as we speak, we are understaffed, we are overstressed, but we have to carry out the functions every single day. But what we have now as it relates to numbers to prisoners, it's quite inadequate. It's not adequate, and you must also understand that if the Department of Corrections recruit 300 officers, we have maybe 100 that leaves within a short time.
So the turnover is high?
Definitely high. So we have to understand what is happening on the ground. So persons would have come in because they would have wanted a job. But when persons realize the environment in which they have to operate, a lot of persons really just step out of the jobs. Many don't resign, they just leave. So we have to understand what is it that we are doing now. But the ratio now as we speak is very inadequate. We are understaffed in every single correctional institution. Whilst there might be recruiting happening, but the attrition rate in terms of how persons move,
can you give me that?
it's
What's
very
the
high.
attrition rate?
Well, as we speak now, the Department of Corrections would have to provide that, but the facts still remain. The last time I looked at it, I spoke about it, but I was rebutted because the department would have had what is on paper, and that's what they work with. Quite understandable, but I couldn't tell you the attrition rate as we speak. No, I rather to speak definitively instead of just guess a number, but it's really high. Persons are moving away while we recruit a lot of persons. When these persons come and look, especially towards Street and St. Catherine, where is it that we have to operate every single day? Many persons don't really even look, they just leave. So we have to understand what is happening. We are professionals, and we have to understand we ensure that these prisoners remain. If you look at the escape rate within our correctional institution, it's not high. We haven't had escape in quite some time. So we have to understand we are doing a good job, but we need the help of the ministry / the government, whatever government, to ensure that we can secure these persons and secure them with some sense. Because the fact of the matter is, these persons are thinking. And thinking, yes, if a person don't have a date to go home, do you believe he wants to stay inside that prison for the rest of his life or her life? No. They'll be thinking, how can I leave here?
What were your thoughts on the British paying for a new maximum security facility and our government, just allowing that to fall by the wayside?
All right. Where that is concerned, and I will never get inside the politics of this, all right? But where that is concerned, the government should have accepted that prison coming from Britain. However, our slave masters, we would not have accepted a prison. It's logical, right? But if we had accepted such a prison, $25 billion prison that was supposed to be built, and they were supposed to send some inmates coming when they're about to be released, and money will follow and all of that, we would have a maximum security prison, state-of-the-art prison that can hold our prisoners in safe custody. These cell phones issues that we are talking about, today we would never have these kind of issues. So yes, it should have been accepted. But as custodians, we're not a part of the politics, and we don't speak politics. I think the politics got involved where that prison was concerned, and this is why it was rejected. But if you are going to reject such a proposal, then what is it that you are going to put in place? And I can guarantee you, it was reasoned that they will not accept this, we'll build our own prison. And there were proposals, I can show you all of these, of new prisons. But the fact is, if you are listening to the argument today, there is absolutely nothing there to build a new prison in 2024 as we speak.
What about how Jamaicans feel? We need new hospital structures, we need new schools, we need better infrastructure in terms of roads. Mm-hmm. Why waste time building a prison for people who are, criminals?
And
Why spend our money on that?
And this is one of the issues that we would have had in terms of when we talk about a new prison. I remember I was on the Jackson Miller program about 3 to 4 years ago when somebody called in to say if we are talking about an hotel. We are not talking about an hotel. But you have to ensure that when the courts place persons within prisons, they are sent there to remain there until such a time for their release. It doesn't mean that you just throw them within a space to say let them suffer, they shouldn't have this, they shouldn't have that. No. You must ensure that these persons' human rights are treated with. So what we have today, many persons on the outside don't understand what we really have within our space as prisons. Persons are within a space where they can't do anything. Because if you put 4 or 5 persons within a space, and I will not say the measurement because we have to watch security issues, I can tell you what you are doing, you are breeding more criminals. You are breeding more criminals. You have persons who come to prison on a simple mistake, but because of how he was located and who he was located with, he comes out worse than he went in. No, that's not good. So we have to understand, any country that is growing must look at the infrastructure in terms of, you must have schools, of course. Your roads must be fixed. Your hospitals should be up and running. But you cannot omit having prisons. And it must be in accordance with the human rights not being breached of the person that we are talking about here. One of the things that we want to just ensure that we ask the government for, whatever government, whatever administration, we need a new prison. This is not the time for talk anymore. We need a new maximum security prison. If this is not happening, then we're going to have issues as it relates to how Haiti is being treated with, because you have been seeing and hearing how much prison break you're having in Haiti. The infrastructure is not good. We should not wait until our prisons crumble around us and kill some of us as officers and kill some of our inmates. The inmates are people. We have to understand we can't breach their human rights. We have to understand that we have to ensure that they are in a space that they are comfortable. I don't mean comfortable where persons might look at it to say, well then, they are too comfortable. But what we have existing now, it's not good. It will not hold for very long. Our officers will continue to do our best. We will continue to ensure that the security of our institutions are not breached. But what we have existing, it cannot continue for much longer. And we are asking the government to look seriously. Stop all this talking. Lands identified, ground broken, and all of this. But nothing happens. We need to move away from that and think seriously at how we locate our inmates. We have mentally ill inmates in our space. And this document I just mentioned here from the Honorable Colonel Spencer indicate clearly that they were building a maximum security prison with a section for the mentally ill. The mentally ill should not even be in our prisons. But where do they go when they commit crimes? So we have a lot to do as correctional officers. I would encourage my officers to continue to do their job to the best of their abilities. But we would call on the government, stop the talking. We need a maximum security prison just to ensure that these two 17th and 16th century prisons don't fall on us, because it is falling.